Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Sights on Sinnoh, the podcast covering the Diamond and Pearl series as we lead up to the remakes of the Sinnoh region, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. My name is Will and today I'm joined by two co-hosts as we cover episodes 11 and episode 12 of the Diamond and Pearl series. So, how are you guys doing today?
Hello, I'm good.
Yeah, doing well. A little sleepy, but that's all right.
Now, this is the episode to wake you up, though, Brady, I'd imagine.
Yeah, definitely. These two were by far the best of the season so far.
Oh, cool. Okay. Carina, how do you feel about them?
Brady coming in strong there with the ratings. I was thinking about my ratings before this, and I did really like these episodes. I was just saying before we started recording that I watched the 11 episodes since I was last on the podcast for episode 1 in the last 24 hours. So they're all a little bit mushy in my brain, but I did like these last 2 episodes quite a lot.
Nice. I was wondering if you had any thoughts about what other co-hosts have said so far about the show. Anything stick out to you or things that you learned along the way?
Yeah, I really like Brady's take on the anime coming from a VGC person, or at least more of a VGC person than I am. So as somebody who plays competitive and does a lot of breeding and IV hunting, which is something that I don't necessarily do a lot, it's really interesting to hear his views on how they approach that in the show.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. As for me, I don't know. I guess there was only one episode by the time that we recorded this. There was one other one that I could listen to. And that one was really good. It was between Manny and Pangumon. I forget your name. Carina.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Apologies.
Carina.
And that one was really fun to listen to. Just seeing two different people's perspectives compared to Will's. There was nothing super big that I took from that because it was the first few episodes, but I'm looking forward to hearing more from the co-hosts.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think there's a few other ones that aren't released at the time of this recording, but they'll be interesting to see everyone's perspectives on that. There's a lot of Bulbasaur mentions in the Turtwig debut episode, so I look forward to that. But yeah, this is a special episode pairing for you two, I believe, since you don't have experiences with contests in Sinnoh. Is that right?
Correct. On my end.
Yes.
Okay. So, kind of starting off this episode, this is all about Pokemon contests. And in the game, they're known as Super Contests here in Sinnoh. But this is basically the beginning, official first step for Dawn as she takes on the Pokemon Coordinator Challenge or Journey throughout Sinnoh. But before we get into that, let me quickly read the blurb for this first episode, which is episode 11, Mounting a Coordinator Assault. And it goes a little like this. Dawn's mother, Johanna, has sent her a special gift. Dawn's mother, Johanna, has sent her a special outfit to wear for her first Pokemon contest, which is just a day away. While Dawn tries on her new outfit, she meets another coordinator, Zoe, who has a Glameow. Then, Dawn is due for some friendly training with Ash and Pikachu, and Dawn's Piplup looks good until Ash's Aipom interrupts the battle to show off its moves. It seems that Aipom doesn't want to watch a contest, it wants to be in one. So for Aipom's sake, Ash decides he'll enter the contest too. So, this episode starts off with a cold open, which is actually something that has now been in the show for the last 1 or 2 episodes, I believe, and for at least the rest of the season, I'm pretty sure is going to be the trend where the episode opens like that. What did you guys think of this new format for the episode?
For me, again, could be because I watched so many episodes in a row, but it actually really confused me, and I think I just started picking up on they'll show you a scene from the episode, but you're not it's not in time, and I was very confused the past few episodes when we hit the scene, and I was like, hasn't this already happened? What is going on here? But now knowing that, It's fine. I don't know if I'm a big fan of it. It feels almost a little bit spoilery to me, but I guess it's nice to get like a sneak peek of the action that is to come.
Yeah, I was very confused at first as well. I ended up backing out of the app to see if I clicked on the wrong episode, and I just like picked up in the middle of an episode that I wasn't supposed to be on yet. Come to find out, it was the correct one. Um, and I think overall, it's a fine way to introduce something big that's going to happen later on in the episode, but kind of like springing it on you for the first time me feel like maybe it was a dream or something. We've
Mm.
we've seen Dawn envision the way that she would do the contests, and so I was thinking maybe it was something like Dawn envisioning Ash doing a contest.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I could see myself coming to that conclusion too. And yeah, it's just weird because it kind of just starts here and there isn't really any narration, which is kind of the traditional opening to a lot of Pokemon anime. And I'll say it's not always done great. There's some episodes where the context is just definitely needed, and like in some of the so in the last episode where I think they did this, there was a battle that happened almost exactly the same two times, and it was really confusing about like figuring out, hey, which one of these battles is the one in this cold open. And yeah, this one also has some things that I guess aren't really obvious, like with the ball capsule being the way that Aipom kind of introduces itself with using Swift to take out the stars that the ball capsule also releases. And I kind of would have liked it to have been the battle near the end where you're like, who's this character that Dawn's fighting? But going back to kind of the order of this episode, you're kind of thrown in right as Dawn is trying on her new outfit that her mom just sent to the hotel or the contest stadium apparently. So I guess they just have packages for waiting for contest coordinators there. But this is the debut of her contest outfit that she'll use for a lot of the season. So I'm wondering what you guys think about it.
I like it. I think it's cute, and I'm like, I feel like she would have packed that in her suitcase when she first set off on her journey, and her mom was like, "No, bring your backpack," and then her mom just like ends up mailing her pretty dresses anyway. So, I had that thought,
Yeah, it's
but
like, wait, where's she gonna hold it now? Is she just gonna mail it to like
yeah,
the next stadium?
yeah, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. So this is also when we first meet Zoe, and she like makes a remark on her outfit where Dawn forgets to put on her choker. She like drops it in the dressing room, and then this new character Zoe shows up and is like, "Here's your choker." And Dawn's like, "How did you know it was mine?" And Zoe is like, "Well, you're the only one in here wearing something that would even remotely match this choker." And it's like this bright pink frilly dress with this matching pink choker. And Dawn seems to be like, "Oh, thank you." But I was like, was that a compliment? Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
Zoe meant that in a nice way.
Honestly, the delivery of that line also had me guessing. I'm like, is she nice or is that a mean? Like, is that a backhanded compliment? Because
Yeah, and then I was guessing for like the whole, even like the next two episodes. I was like, are we supposed to like Zoe? Are we not
oh,
supposed to like Zoe? Like it's really hard for me to tell. And I also noticed that a lot of the time, like when she appeared, there'd be kind of like sinister music, and I'd be like, are we waiting for some big reveal where she's like a bad guy? Which I don't think
mm-hmm.
happened at least yet in these two episodes, but I definitely for like episodes 11 and 12, I was kind of going back and forth as to like whether we're supposed to like Zoe or not.
Yeah, I wonder if part of that questioning is that she also has a Glamio like Dawn's mom, so it's a Pokemon that's kind of familiar to her, but now it's being used by someone who she's competing against, which is kind of different. Is a different relationship that she has now with this Pokemon, and it's also Ash's first time meeting it. So of course he scans it with his Pokedex. Um, But yeah, Brady, what do you think about Zoe's introduction here?
Yeah, I was very confused on the kind of person Zoe was supposed to be and what her intentions were. Was she going to be a friendly rival and encourage Dawn in what she was going to be doing in the contest, or was she going to be like talking down to her? Just based off of the way that she delivered that, the comment about the choker. My thoughts on that outfit though, I just felt like it was too cutesy and like in like junior high or like high school. If your parents are still buying your clothes, these clothes that your parents bought you, and you're like happy about it, and then you look around and see like you're not really like your style is like completely different.
Yeah, I can see that. um, I'm trying to look this up real quick to see if we can compare it to the game because uh I can't remember if this outfit actually matches what the female trainer wears in the game because that's kind of the explanation that Dawn's giving to Ash and Brock because they're like, why are you wearing this contest outfit? And because in Hoenn, both in the games and in the anime, people were just wearing their regular clothes for the most part. Like May would just wear her regular outfit when she competed in contests, and pretty much everyone else did. So this is kind of explaining the differences for people who might not know how contests worked in Hoenn compared to the ones in Sinnoh. But this isn't the only change, as we'll kind of find out later on. And that leads us to the next scene, which is Piplup actually training with Ash to show off some new moves. And they're interrupted by Aipom, actually, who comes right in and sucker punches Piplup with his focus punch. And this is where we learn that Aipom's interested in joining the contest. So I'm wondering how you guys felt about that reveal.
Dawn and Piplup are much nicer beings than I am, and if you punched my penguin that I was getting ready to like be pretty and show off in a competition and I was like training and you just came out of nowhere and like punched him in the face, I'd be super duper mad. But Dawn and Piplup seem to take it really well and were very encouraging and nice about the whole situation.
Yeah, they were surprisingly mature about it. Like, Dawn just picks up Piplup and they're like, oh, that was pretty. And then they're like, hey, it looks like Aipom wants to join. And she tells Ash to jump in and try it out.
Yeah, at first, Dawn was like, "What are you doing?" or something like that to the Aipom, and then
Mhm.
figured out right away that Aipom was interested in contests, and so like any of that drama that could have been there was just washed away. It was like, "Oh, you're interested in contests too? That's awesome, Ash. You need to get in on these contests with Aipom."
Yeah, and Ash isn't like super sure if he wants to do it, but both Pikachu and Aipom are like, yeah, let's go for it, which I think is really neat. That it's not just like the trainer deciding, but it's like the Pokemon that they're using being the ones interested in doing it.
And
Um,
that's a pretty common theme so far that I've seen in this series is they bring up that the Pokemon have all sorts of different personalities and no two Pokemon are the same even if they're the same species. And so
yes.
it's nice being able to see them like notice the Pokemon's personalities and do things for the Pokemon instead of just for the trainers.
Right, everyone is an individual. They're not just like uniform across the board, even though they're the same species. So, what happens next is that when they realize that Ash wants to join, he has to sign up, but also Dawn has to sign up, which apparently she has not done. So, they run over to the reception desk and they get asked for their contest ID cards basically, and the receptionist is like, "Oh, it's okay. If you haven't signed up, just give me your Pokédex and that will let you register because apparently that has all your trainer information on it. So it's kind of like a digital ID, which is surprisingly relevant right now. But this gives them the cards, and this is also where the receptionist gives them a ribbon case alongside a ball capsule, which is what Brady was wondering about from the first time that we recorded. is why does it look like Buneary is in a moon ball? So what did you think about this reveal?
So as soon as I saw that, I felt really dumb. um, so I went back and I watched the opener a few times, and I paused it even on that screen. I was like, okay, this is not a moon ball, but I have no idea what this is. So I was really excited for it. I haven't seen anything like that in the games that I've played, so I don't know if they are in Diamond and Pearl or anything like that. But I know there's nothing like that in the games that I've played. So I was really excited to figure out like what they were and how they I guess like how it went from a Pokeball into a different type of Pokeball in the intro,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
seeing that it's just like encapsulates it is pretty. It's a pretty good idea.
Nice, yeah. Karina, were you familiar with capsules?
I did play Diamond and, well, I played Diamond. I don't have any recollection of this mechanic in that game, but I am pretty sure it exists because I'm pretty sure I've seen Pokemon streamers on Twitch pull out this game and like play with the stickers on the balls and stuff relatively recently. So that did trigger a memory or ring some bells in my mind with that. But I also thought it was a really cool addition. I think the Pokeball just looks really cool and like its capsule when it looks kind of purpley. So I like it a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I am a fan of them. I think they are underused, but it is a mechanic in the game which is introduced about halfway, I'd say, through the game. And the purpose is really to just give your Pokemon a unique kind of flair when they come out of their ball. So you saw that they were trying different stickers on the ball, which kind of add different effects to it. In the anime, they're exaggerated a bit more because sometimes the effects or the particles that come out are not as plentiful as what you see in the anime itself. But they're a kind of aesthetic mechanic that I think is used in the contest. I can't remember exactly, but in the appeal round, I believe you can actually use those to kind of increase the visual effect that your Pokemon has when it comes out, which is exactly what happens here in the anime. As we'll see in a few moments when you start putting them in contests. But yeah, I really like capsules. I think they were kind of awkward at points because you would have to go to the PC each time to use it, and you can't. I forget there was like some dumb roadblock for putting Pokemon back into your PC and taking them out with the ball capsule where you had to like separate both of them. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this is introduced and shown in the anime moving forward. The fun part about it in the games was really just collecting stickers from a variety of places, people, or even buying them to kind of make sure that you could maximize how decorative your ball could be. So really fun to kind of just mix up what it happens when you use your Pokemon. In Solaceon Town later on, for each unknown leather that you catch, you would get a leather sticker for that. So you actually have to complete the alphabet if you want to get all the letters.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a fun mechanic. I wonder if it'll come back in the remakes later this year.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is so as a VGC player, not a great one, not anything special, but I do like to do VGC, and I like to play with a team of shinies if the Pokemon's available to be shiny. So that's just something that I like to do for my team. And so if they give us the ability to add seals to different Pokeballs and stuff like that in Diamond and Pearl remakes, then I think VGC is going to be even more fun for me to be like, I'm going to, pair up certain seals and stickers with my different Pokemon, and I get to show them off to my opponent before I lose to them.
Yeah, I would also love to see them come back in the game and to be able to use them online competitively, especially with the new, or I don't know how new it's going to be, but like the new graphics for the game, since they were kind of stuck to being mostly 2D in the original games. So it would be nice to see how they expand on that. make everything nice and pretty, basically. But speaking of pretty, Dawn is not having some sweet, pretty dreams or some sweet sleep, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that, but she steps outside her balcony at this Pokemon Center hotel, I guess, that they're staying at, and talks to Piplup and Buneary about just kind of the doubts that she's having as she's getting ready for this contest. But it's a kind of cute moment where she is trying to find that confidence in herself. She pulls out her mom's first ribbon, which she got from her as a good luck charm, and shows it to her Pokemon, which is actually a small team right now. So it's really interesting thinking about this relationship that she has with these two specifically, because later on she's going to have a much more robust party. And I'm curious if there's any moments like this later on where you kind of see that trainer Pokemon dynamic.
Yeah, I thought this was a really sweet scene where she was like showing them the ribbon and they're being all cute. I also thought it was very cute when she like sends them out of their Pokeballs and they're like still asleep, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I remember again episode 1 that I was last on. Will, you asked me if I had any predictions for her party, and I predicted that there was going to be a Bidoof first, so I'm sad that I was wrong about that. But Buneary is also very cute, and I was glad that there was a Bidoof in the contest, even though we didn't get to see like a full Bidoof sequence, which I think would have been awesome to see like what crazy moves Bidoof could have pulled off. But there was a little bit of Bidoof in these episodes, which was satisfying enough.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
they
glad
couldn't
you
do
brought
the
that
whole
up.
sequence of Bidoof because then it would have automatically
True,
won,
very
and they
true.
needed to find a reason to make it not win.
Yeah, it would just outshine everyone. But I'm glad you
Exactly.
brought that up because this is, I think, the first appearance of Bidoof. And this is episode 11? And we still have not had a formal introduction to that Pokemon, even though it's one of the first Pokemon that you can encounter in Sinnoh. So it's interesting that we get Buneary first, we get Krogunk first, and they're Pokemon that you get later on. But Bidoof still hasn't been featured. I guess they just didn't have time for it or something. But speaking of time, Dawn's running out of time to get ready for the contest, and she's not having a great hair day. People are like, oh my gosh, where's Dawn? She's going to be late. But then Zoe actually comes in to the rescue and helps her finish her hair. And Dawn, okay, this is kind of a weird moment. Dawn opens up Zoe's ribbon case while Zoe's doing Dawn's hair, and it kind of like opens it. I was like, oh, here's a ribbon. I was like, oh, okay. Why'd you open it?
Yeah, I actually have a question about this scene. So at some point while Dawn is like doing her hair, there's like this close-up shot of her choker and it just lingers there for a good like 5 seconds. And I was like, is she gonna forget the
does
choker?
it?
Is this gonna come back? Is this gonna be a thing? And I don't think it came back. Was there something I missed with like the significance of this shot of the choker, or was it just like it just happened to be there and I like somehow picked up on it?
So maybe that was just to show that, gosh, what was her name? Not Dawn.
Oh yeah, Zoe.
Zoe?
Zoe. That Zoe was not being rude or mean in the beginning. She was just being straightforward with like, hey, your outfit's pink. Hey, this thing's pink. It clearly goes with your outfit. But it just, even though it came off weird, maybe that's kind of what it was showing, was like, there was some friendliness behind it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think this episode starts to kind of reveal that Zoe's just a blunt person with what she says, but none of it really seems to be ill-intentioned. That's kind of the only tension that they try to put there, that Dawn's running late, but it doesn't really amount to much. Like she makes it in time. Like there isn't like a ticking clock for her to get to the stage or anything. So I'm not really sure why that was emphasized as much. But as we cut to the actual stage, we get introduced to the 3 judges, which are pretty similar to the ones that we had in Hoenn, with one of them being Nurse Joy, one of them being Mr. Contesta, and then one of them being someone else whose name I can't remember. But these are the contest judges that you'll see throughout the rest of the show, basically. And they sometimes can give good commentary, but a lot of the time it's just very basic commentary that I think is just like a typical contest judge being polite.
That third guy that you forgot the name of, I also forgot his name, but he is my favorite. He had such insightful commentary.
Oh yes,
which was besides remarkable pretty much every time, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, it's his catchphrase. He has a trademark on it clearly that he needs to keep up and defend. So I don't know that's what we get from him. But what we get from Zoe is actually a really cool performance using her Mischievous, which I think I'm actually saying wrong now. I've been saying it wrong, and then what was it?
I think it's mischievous, although I never made the connection until this episode that it's a play on the word mischievous, which would make sense if you're calling it mischievous, but I think they said it mischievous.
Yes, that's right. That's
yes.
right. It's mischievous, and it makes a pretty cool appearance here. And it's a ghost type from Johto, which has an evolution in Sinnoh, so this may be an allusion to that moving forward. But I thought it was so cool to see it on the stage because it's a really pretty Pokemon already with some cuteness to it. So to me, it seemed like a natural fit for a Pokemon contest.
Yeah, and I actually have another question about Miss Mischievous's first appearance, which is I don't know if this is a thing or not, or whether we're gonna come back to it. But I noticed that starting from episode 1, whenever Dawn is in a contest or envisioning herself in a contest, she uses Spotlight first when she sends her Pokemon out.
Yes.
But Zoe uses Curtain. So yeah, is there something there that I'm also missing of like the significance of the difference there?
Not really. I just think those are the catchphrases for each of them, which...
Okay, so it's not like a different move, because I was also trying to see if there was like a different, whether it looked different based on them, but I couldn't pick up on anything like
Oh,
huge.
no. To me, it's like them trying to mix it up from just the old I choose you that was Ash's original catchphrase.
Oh, I see. Brady, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I can't remember if the next Pokemon that she shows in the contest, if she says the same thing, but for the Mischievous one, I guess I interpreted that as the smoke screen was like a curtain and the Mischievous was like dancing behind it and you would see like the silhouette. And so I don't know if it was intended like that or if that's just something that she says with all of her Pokemon. But yeah, I love the Mischievous, I guess, performance when it used like double team and then it like went out from the smoke with it. Oh, I just knocked my mic. I'm sorry. Talking with my hands here. So like when it came out of the smoke with the double team and there were like maybe 4 of them going into the crowd, I thought that part was awesome.
Yeah, it uses the effect from the ball super well. I totally forgot like how she made the smoke, and then I realized, oh, the sticker on her ball is a kind of smoky sticker to make that effect happen. But yeah, that's used really well, and it's kind of interesting because it starts off with Mischievous in the smoke, so you don't even see what it looks like. You just kind of get this silhouette effect for a good few seconds before it actually comes out of the smoke, which is a really cool entrance for sure. But just pausing here, do you guys understand how the contest is structured in terms of a competition?
Say for the most part, you have to get like past the first round and then I guess I don't want to jump too far ahead, but if you don't get chosen for the first out of the first round, then you're just kind of done, right?
Pretty much, yeah. This first round is all about appeals, so it's them using their moves, and then later on is more of battles. which also involves how you show the audience that your Pokemon's pretty and cute and all that stuff. But what do you guys think about this kind of structure for Pokemon Contest in the anime?
I think this is a cool format, although I do have a question about the format. So like this all makes sense when you have like the stage and the competition and all of this. But going back a few episodes when Dawn and Ash and Brock met the Budew guy. I wrote down Nacho, but I'm pretty sure that's not his name.
Nando.
Nando.
Close.
There we go.
The bard.
With Nando. She when Dawn asks him for a battle, she's like, I want to be a coordinator. And he's like, great, then we're going to do like a coordinator battle or whatever he calls it. And I couldn't tell what the difference between that battle and then like the normal battle he had with Ash right after was. And then, so like going into this episode, I was hoping they would like clear up how like a contest battle differs from say a gym battle, which like they did in this context where you have like judges and scores and points and like a timer. But going back to like the battle in the forest, what made Dawn's battle with Nacho, Nando, Budew guy, like a coordinator battle, and how did that differentiate from his battle with Ash?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that there were some subtle moments where he's trying to be stylish with how Budew spins, attacks, dodges, and even lands after using an attack. But it wasn't super clear, especially if you've never seen a contest battle about like what's going on here. But if you look back to that, I think you might notice how Budew kind of presents itself with a little more elegance, maybe than when he was battling Ash directly. As you go through here, one of the things that's kind of established in Hoenn is that if your attack misses or kind of gets deflected in some way, that causes you to lose points. So, while in the trainer battle that might not be a big deal, and in the contest battle it affects how you look and how your performance is received.
Cool. Yeah, it makes sense. That might be a battle that I have to go back and watch again with wiser eyeballs.
Yeah, and that episode particularly, as we talked about, doesn't seem to have the biggest budget, so they might not do a great job of communicating that. But if you look at it, at least that's how I interpret it, which might be completely confirmation bias, given that I'm like, oh, I know what contest battles are supposed to look like. That's how I got that across. But the two other appeals that we see in this episode are from Ash and from Dawn. Oh, also 3 actually. One of them being from Jessie Bell, who uses Carnivine. And what did you guys think of Jessie competing in this contest? Someone from Team Rocket.
Yeah. This is one of those episodes of Team Rocket where I'm like, I don't really need them in here.
Okay, yeah, I have so many questions about all of this. I'm sorry, I'm just like co-opting all of your questions, Will, to ask you more questions. But what exactly was her motivation in competing? Like, at first it seemed like she just wanted like the glory of winning contests, but then at some point it was also like, was there money involved? Like, was she doing it so that she could get funding for her and James? Like, what? Why was she competing?
Yeah, that's a good question that kind of came up with an episode that we had with Manny, I believe episode 5 of Sights on Sinnoh, where we were like, is Johanna Dawn's mom a celebrity? Like, does she have celebrity money, status, all that? But I think what Jessie assumes is that it'll get her famous, basically. And she's known for wanting to be an actor, and being on stage, getting a lot of media attention, and just general knowledge of her existence. But yeah, she definitely thinks she's gonna get a lot more from this than you would normally get from just winning one contest. But I think long term, she is going to kind of realize that no, she has to win a lot of contests and like be the champion of contests or the top coordinator to actually get that kind of media coverage, basically.
I just don't understand her mindset here. She comes into a contest with like no preparation whatsoever and uses a Pokemon that's not even hers.
Yeah, so for context, she actually has competed in contests in Hoenn before. But for the
Ah,
most
okay. Okay, that
part,
makes more sense.
yes, she definitely has some practice. But that experience was a little different where it ended up being her usually competing for like a prize, which was something that they just arbitrarily made for those episodes, like endless supply of fruit for the year from this like local farm or something, or like something like that that kind of motivated them. And it would usually just end with them having their cover blown and just interrupting the contest or something. But in this one, she's actually doing it completely legit. Like she's not cheating. Um, unless you want to say like she's using another person's Pokemon, but she'll do that throughout the show where if she wants to mix things up a bit, she'll use different Pokemon to kind of give different appeals. And it also kind of shows that she's talented in a way where she's not just relying on using her own Pokemon. It does definitely feel a little awkward how she just kind of randomly decides to join the contest here, but later on it will definitely pay off more. But here, the last appeal that we see is Ash, or second to last appeal that we see here is Ash's with Aipom, as he comes out using Swift and takes out all these stars that came with the ball capsule. Now, this is one of the moments that kind of reminds me of why I like Sinnoh so much, and it's because it made the move Swift iconic in how they animate it.
Yeah, it looks really
Yeah,
cool. I like how they take advantage of like the stars and yeah, how they like use those stars in follow-up moves. I think it's really well suited to like
Mm.
this contest format and
Hmm.
looks really neat.
yeah, I loved watching Apom, which I've never really given Apom too many thoughts. But I know. Um, but and it's probably because I skipped this gen, and
Hmm.
so that's probably my reasoning. But anyway, I liked watching Apom use the Swift against the stars that came out of the ball. I thought that was really cool. And then just when it lands on its tail, it looks so cute.
Yeah, it's super adorable and it just looks like it's having a super fun time, which I love seeing. I think this is also the seed for something that comes later on. So, seeing Aipom in this contest is not a mistake, as you guys will find out later, which I think you'll really enjoy. It's kind of a first for the anime, actually, but it's really nice to see Aipom kind of expressing itself in this way. But Aipom actually did have some interest in contests when it was caught in Kanto, actually, where it was really fascinated by May's performance at one point, and that's what actually inspired it to join Ash's party, because it was like super excited and pumped about the contest that wanted to battle Ash. But I think it makes great use of that move. Swift, Focus Punch, and Double Team are actually really good combination for how they're used here. So once Ash finishes his performance, he meets Dawn in the hallway. They give each other an epic high five, like moment of white flash after their hands leave each other. And then Dawn is on stage where she kind of gets a little overwhelmed by the crowd just standing there for a hot second, but it looks like she's able to actually focus her thoughts and then starts off with Piplup, actually. Who did you guys expect her to lead with in the contest, actually? Either Buneary or Piplup?
I didn't really know there was going to be more than one round. I didn't know what to expect. So I
Mm-hmm.
figured Piplup would come out. I knew like Binary would be used eventually, but I didn't know if it was going to be in this contest, next contest, or how that would all play out. So I was expecting Piplup.
Yeah, same.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think this is also different because I believe Hoenn had you use the same Pokemon throughout the whole thing, but this one actually lets you switch between them. So that was a cool choice difference there. And Piplup's appeal is all about the bubbles. She lets out a Piplup from a ball capsule full of bubbles, and then using Bubble Beam herself to kind of throw all the bubbles back in the air. It sets up for Piplup using Peck, which I kind of I've mixed a bit on the animation for Peck, because it was introduced in this episode that Piplup can kind of extend its beak with its stored power to make it seem like a very much more effective beak that's being used to peck rather than its little tiny one.
Yeah, I don't love the look of that glowing extra big beak. It's kind of off-putting in some ways.
So when they first showed that, I thought Piplup was about to evolve, and I was like, "What? This is way too soon."
Oh, interesting.
It kind of looked like the shine of an evolution.
That's true.
It clearly did not, thankfully. Which I like the whole Piplup line, but I just would like to have more time with the cute versions.
Yes, definitely. I never want them to evolve too soon. Let them stay cute as long as they can. But that's pretty much Dawn's appeal there. It goes well, and that wraps up the episode in a weirdly dramatic end screen with the 4 characters who competed kind of stoically looking to see the results. But that brings us to the end of episode 11 of Diamond and Pearl. So I'm wondering what you guys would rate this episode, since it is 1 out of 2, given just what you gathered from this episode for mounting a coordinator assault. Carina, do you want to start?
I think I would give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. I did like it. It definitely got me thinking about a lot of different things, hence my many questions, but also I feel like some of my questions were just like could have been clearer or could have been better addressed in the anime and led to some confusion. So gonna knock off some points or half points for that. But overall, I did like this episode a lot.
Yeah, so I think that it's hard for me to separate this one and the next one just because they're so linear. But if I had to just take this one, I would probably give it an 8 in itself. But I did really enjoy the appeal parts of the contest. It was something new for me. It was a very different experience than I've had in the Pokemon anime, but it was enjoyable.
Okay. Yeah, I like hearing that experience for you, that it's a very different aspect of the anime than what you've seen before, and kind of adds, I'd say it's a bit more refreshing to see something like this compared to maybe the standard battles that Ash has throughout the show. So I really like when they mix up like this. Though I will say that the pacing is a little weird, and that kind of story tension throughout doesn't really hold as well as I think it could, with Dawn losing the choker and then getting behind with doing her hair in the dressing room, kind of being like the high tension points of the episode, some might say. So I'll probably have to settle on the 7.5 as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for episode 11. So, moving on to episode 12, Arrival of Arrival. So, that's basically the same word twice, but just so it's clear, it's arrival, like arriving with a plane that's landing or something, and then a rival, so a person who is your rival, which kind of hints at what happens at this episode. And the blurb reads, "The battles are about to begin in the Jubilife Pokemon Contests, and in the running are Dawn, Ash, Jessie, disguised as Jesselina, and a coordinator named Zoe. Ash will be battling Zoe, and Zoe is shocked to hear that Ash isn't really a coordinator. As far as Zoe's concerned, if you're not serious, you don't belong in the contest." When Ash's Aipom and Zoe's Glamia go head to head, it looks like Zoe may be right. Contests aren't like gym battles, as Zoe proves when her Glamia wins the round with creative uses of its Iron Tail and Shadow Claw moves. So, again, this episode pretty much just dives right into where we left off, and there isn't necessarily tension there that I think is super productive. It's basically just like, oh, who made it to the next round? And it wouldn't be as interesting, I think, if it's one of the four people here had not made it. But they all do, and you get to see a little interaction between Ash and Zoe, where again, Zoe's personality and intentions are a little ambiguous because she seems pretty aggressive towards Ash when she finds out, like, oh, you're not really a coordinator.
Yeah, like by the end of the by the end of the last episode, I was like, okay, we're supposed to like Zoe. She seems good, and then she starts off this episode being like a total jerk to Ash. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite shots is like Pikachu's gaping, like mouth open, like what just happened face when Zoe is being a jerk. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I think this is like another moment in the like, do we like her? Do we not? Is she nice? Is she not? And it didn't seem
Mm-hmm.
to really go anywhere. I don't know if it will in future episodes, but at least by the end of this one, it just seemed, uh, yeah, just another like flip floppiness with Zoe's character.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add. That's pretty spot on from what I got.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering, Brady, if you had any ideas or thoughts on how you would compare Zoe to Paul, who've seen be Ash's rival for this region.
Um, how would I compare the two?
Yeah, or even are they
I
comparable?
guess I guess they both strive to um I don't know. I guess this is a very generic statement because everyone wants to be number one in Pokemon. But they both like strive to be the best that they can be in their craft, and that's shown by like Paul in his battles, but that's also shown by Zoe by telling Ash like, if you're not serious with this, like you're a Pokemon trainer and battler,
Mm-hmm.
then you don't really belong in this group. And so she takes her craft pretty seriously.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like her maybe being a little offended that in her mind it looks like Ash just assumed he can jump in and do this because he looks down on contests, maybe, as someone who is competing in the Sinnoh League as a trader. So that could be part of it. But it resolved in an interesting way later on, but not before they actually battle each other. So we see Aipom coming out of its ball with the ball capsule, and then Zoe taking Aipom on with her Glameow, who seems to kind of be her go-to Pokemon for these kind of things. But yeah, I enjoyed this battle. I think it was a cool mix of strategy and creativity from both sides, actually, which is nice to see where new characters get a chance to shine in being smart and capable. But it starts off with Glameow creatively using its tail to actually catch Aipom's own tail and interrupt the focus punch, which I thought was a really cool use, and I wish Glameow's tail was used like this more in the game in some capacity. But yeah, what did you guys think about this battle between Ash and Zoe?
Yeah, Glameow's tail OP for sure.
Yeah, it just seemed like Ash was coming at this like a normal battle,
Mm-hmm.
and that makes sense because that's the only experience that he has.
Yeah, it's
Um,
his natural instinct, really.
but I guess he just didn't really do Apom justice.
Yeah, surprisingly not. I was kind of expecting Apom to try to style up some of its moves without Ash telling it to, but he really just jumped into the battle the same way that Ash did.
There was one thing, and I think it was this episode because I also watched a bunch of episodes back to back in preparation for this. But I believe it was in this episode that the Glameow was able to dodge the Swift.
Yes, that was this one. I noticed that too.
And that frustrated me a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I think she used the Swift, like she repelled the Swift in some way to attack the Aipom.
Right, she used Fury Swipes to knock back the Swift.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
Aipom back, yeah. And then, again, to Carina's comment with the tail being OP, she just unwinds the tail to hit Aipom with an Iron Tail straight in the face, which I thought was brutal, actually.
Yeah, I think these battles were kind of brutal. I also remember skipping ahead a little bit to when Buneary is battling, and like at the very end of Buneary's battle, using bounce, just like completely pummeling Glameow with bounce, and I was like, "Ooh, this is getting a little real here."
Right, yeah, I was like, they're going at it. Like, it's a contest, but it's a serious time for them. I did also enjoy seeing them recognize the fact that Shadow Claw shouldn't be able to affect either Aipom or Buneary, because it's a ghost type move being used on a normal type Pokemon. But what did you guys think about Glameow using these moves, which are all kind of non-natural moves for that Pokemon to learn to be via level up? So clearly Zoe has put some time into teaching Glameow, Shadow Claw, and Iron Tail.
Speaking to Brady's earlier comment, although now in my sleepy eveningness, I can't remember if it was in this episode or the episode that y'all were on earlier on in the series, but you were having a conversation about using moves in ways that you wouldn't expect in the game. So like using a move like on the ground or on a tree and like bouncing that off to use it in battle. And I think that Zoe and Glameow make really good use of that with like the Shadow Claw, especially where she uses it twice, like not as a direct attack, but to either like show off a move in the contest or to like Shadow Claw the ice and
Yes.
attack that way. I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I thought that was a neat idea for how to implement that move, because otherwise you're like, this has no effect against my opponent in a normal battle. But that's kind of the cool thing about contest battles, is that your moves don't really have to have an effect if you have a creative approach to how you battle. But in this case, it does lead to Zoe winning, and Ash is knocked out, even though at the last second, Glameow was almost going to get a point-blank focus punch to the face. That doesn't happen because they run out of time, and Aipom is like, alright, I won't hit you.
Aipom has like the biggest self-control I've ever seen in any being ever, like not following through with that punch.
I was surprised also.
That Glameow was about to get one punch Aipom'd like across the stadium.
Yeah,
I would love to watch a battle between Ash and Zoe outside of the contest type, because as Carina said, they are both like really creative battlers, and they're in the way that they approach the battle. They don't just use the attacks head on. They think of creative ways to go around their opponent, and so I think the two of them together could put a really good show on.
Yeah, even just outside of contests, Zoe's clearly a strong trainer. She's teaching all these Pokemon moves that they wouldn't normally know, and approaching battles like an actual puzzle and not just a straight-on attack to win situation, which I think is awesome. And she also learns from Ash and Dawn that Aipom is the one who actually wanted to compete, and that's why Ash joined, which kind of changes her tone, but also it's partially changed by the fact that her mind is still blown by the power of Aipom's punch, and she's like, yeah, if you guys had run out of time, that was like, you would have won. Because in contests, if your Pokemon gets knocked out, you lose automatically as well. which is probably what she was referring to there specifically. But her comment is actually, "Hey, Dawn, I know, you should raise Aipom." So what do you guys think about that?
That was really off-putting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the idea behind it was really good. I think that makes sense, or at least like if you're not gonna let Dawn raise Apom, you can at least work with Apom and do contests, kind of like the way that Jesse's doing that with Carnivine.
Mm.
But it was just like you don't even know these people, and you're just gonna suggest like, "Hey, your Pokemon now needs to belong to her." It's like, wait,
Yes.
what?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a very similar reaction to that. And it almost, I don't even think this is a direct comparison, but going back to your question about like how Dawn compares to Paul, like I think this was a moment where their outlook on Pokemon seemed kind of similar in terms of like your Pokemon
Mm.
are like tools and you pick the strongest one for whatever purpose that you're going to use it for. So she seemed very like seemed to be not a big deal to be like, "Oh, well, like you are the trainer that wants to do contests, so it makes the most sense for like you to use this Pokemon or for like
Mm-hmm.
you to be matched with this Pokemon towards that end without as much consideration as Don and Ash seem to have for like, yeah, but like they're my friends and like I have a personal attachment to this one, so I'm not just gonna give it away to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse you, we have a bond with our Pokemon. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can't relate to that, but that's where I stand on this. And you don't really see the response, so it's kind of just glossed over as we keep going through the contest. But you do see a quick glimpse of Dawn battling her second round because she goes through two battles, I believe. One with another person who is using a Bidoof, which is brutally frozen in ice, and you can just see the expression of death on its face.
Oh, so
Uh,
tragic.
and after that, you skip to Jesselina battling a Rhydon, actually, which seems kind of random. But using Carnivine, so it it kind of is clear that she has a 4 times type advantage against that other Pokemon. So I'm guessing that that's why it results in a win for her partially. And then it's time for Zoe and Dawn to battle against each other. So here you see that Dawn is actually very, very proud to be going against Zoe, who she already looks up to as someone who already has won a contest and is clearly very talented herself. So for this battle, she sends out her Buneary with a spotlight, as Carina mentioned earlier, and then the curtain on Zoe's Glameow. So two normal types again, actually. Love normal type love this episode, I have to say. But this battle, were you guys expecting either side in particular to win?
I think I'd be pretty surprised if Dawn won, given that it's like her first contest and Dawn is
Mm-hmm.
like a seasoned pro relatively speaking. So I think it would have been like too easy for Dawn to win her first thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that Dawn had a pretty good chance. Uh, It wouldn't have surprised me if Dawn won, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Zoe won this match. Just the way that they introduced her as someone who's got a lot of experience, but based off of like Dawn's background, I could also see her winning it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been too surprised given that her mom is a former top coordinator herself, that maybe she has some of that natural instinct to help her get through this. But it's also been shown that Zoe's clearly talented herself, so she has a tough competition going into this. For the last time that we saw someone compete for the first time, it was May in the Hoenn region, and she I she just seemed like way too nervous to win. So that might have also been what I was accounting for, is that Dawn seemed pretty confident going through here. Like when May comes onto the stage, she actually trips and falls on her butt as she tries to throw out her Pokemon for the first round. And Dawn's
Is that negative points?
Like I was half expecting that, but they don't really seem to dock her for it, which is
okay.
Well,
good for
interesting. Her. Yeah, so she makes it. But Dawn definitely seems a bit more put together in that case. And immediately Zoe is showing up Buneary because Buneary uses bounce. And then Glameow doesn't even have to use the move, but just uses its tail to bounce above Buneary's head, which is like a big middle finger to Buneary.
Yeah, tail OP.
And then for a moment, it looks like Buneary might have the advantage as it catches Glameow's Iron Tail with its ears, which I thought was pretty cool. Both Aipom and Buneary using its non-hands as limbs in some effective way. But Glameow kind of takes advantage of the situation and then uses the strength of its tail to spin Buneary out into the air. And Buneary, while it's in the air, uses Ice Beam to freeze the ground, which is a pretty smart move on its part to kind of keep Glameow from being able to bounce around. And then we get to the moment that Carina was talking about earlier, with Buneary just pounding away at Glameow, first with Dizzy Punch and then with Bounce. And you just see Glameow's eyes just like Looney Tunes style just like pop out, basically.
Sidebar, I just finished watching the Invincible series on Prime Video, and I'm like, if this wasn't that show, this would be like a very different feel right now.
Definitely would be rated R.
Yeah.
But then Glameow pulls out the Shadow Claw to break up the ice and knock Buneary off balance with ice shards just hitting it straight in the stomach. Not fun, I'd imagine. But it did make me kind of think about Raspados, which is a Mexican shaved ice thing, and now I'm hungry. But anyway, she keeps going on Buneary with an Iron Tail to knock it off its feet, and that's pretty much where the battle ends. Buneary's struggling to get up, and then they're out of time, and Dawn is not ahead in terms of points. So that's where it marks the ending for Dawn as a contestant in this contest. But yeah, I think this was a pretty good battle, I'd say. I do kind of wish that both the Pokemon here were using more than 3 moves. To me, it was weird that they both had like one extra move slot that they didn't seem to be using. Did either of you notice that?
I didn't really think about that, but to me, what was disappointing with the Buneary was the first time that Dawn encountered the Buneary, it was doing a lot of like cutesy moves when it was fighting the Piplup and when they were trying to catch it. And I didn't really see that in this battle.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see the Buneary show off a little bit in that way.
Yeah, I can see that too. Buneary didn't seem to show off much of its personality in this as it did in its debut. But I think it did hint of some things to come with how Dawn is going to be using her Pokemon in future contests. It's definitely a nice little establishing shot of that in a few other ways as well, because after the contest is over, she actually calls her mom and apologizes for not doing as well and not winning. And her mom is like, you don't have to call me. Like, you have friends. Don't make this a habit anymore. I want you to talk to your friends and your Pokemon and apologize to them, not me, if you feel like you didn't do as well as you could. Which I thought was a cool moment for her.
Yeah, this was kind of an interesting scene. Like, her mom was kind of brutal, where she was like, stop crying, like, stop calling me, just don't cry, don't talk to me, just go do your thing. And I was like, oh, okay. but I
Jeez,
can see it
Mom.
coming from like a place of love and like encouraging independence in this 10-year-old that she has just sent out into the world with nothing but a backpack. So
True. She does say, like, oh, I'm going to watch your contest. You know I'm going to watch all your contests. But, you know, be confident in yourself and what you're doing out there.
Yeah, she did come off a little mean in the beginning of that phone call.
Mm-hmm.
But then I kind of took a step back and was trying to see it from her point of view as someone who's gone through the ringer and won it all. She knows what it takes to be, I guess, a champion. Is that what they would be considered in this category?
I think the
I-
title is top coordinator.
Top coordinator. So she knows what it means to be the top coordinator and how much effort has to go into it. And I'm sure she's seen her fair share of heartbreak, unless she's like a Leon and never lost. And so she knows how difficult it's going to have to be for Dawn to keep going, and how you have to rebound from losses like this. You can't just like dwell on them and like sulk in them. You have to figure out what you did wrong and improve.
Yes. And as top coordinator, I do know that later on you will actually learn a little bit of her background and see that she has lost. So definitely not a Leon situation in terms of her being undefeated. But yeah, I really think she's putting that wisdom to use with Dawn and not kind of sweetening her up to the idea that this is going to be easy. After this, we get the final half of the battle with Jesselina taking on Zoe and Glamio, and Zoe taking the victory for her, meaning that she wins the ribbon. And Jesselina is very frustrated, but she walks away with the Jubilife City ribbon, and Dawn and Zoe say goodbye to each other while promising to meet again and battle as they continue their journey as coordinators, both in this region. But yeah, overall, how did you guys feel about this episode?
I liked it a lot. As a first experience of the contest, coupling it kind of with the last one as well, and to get like one big contest, I'd say it was a 9. It was a good first contest.
yeah, I will piggyback off of that and also give it a 9. I really liked watching battles and this new this different format, and especially
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, following up the nacho battle in the forest, having like a more fleshed out coordinator battle with like the point system, and really like showing
Mm-hmm.
off the moves and stuff. I think that was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I really liked it. I think it was a very strong introduction to contests in Sinnoh specifically. And it's nice that they give it a two-parter, which I don't think they really did a lot in Hoenn, so seeing it get this much attention is really nice, and also kind of gives Dawn more justified screen time and doing something that she's good at, which I think hasn't been always the case with the female protagonist in the anime. So seeing this actually happen is a cool milestone for the show. I would say that I did want to see maybe more of the actual battles that were going on here, or the peels, which are kind of the coolest part of that battle of what contests bring to the show, in my opinion. But I will say that this seemed like the proof of concept for contests moving forward, where I think if they saw that this could do well and people really like this, that they were going to keep putting in this much of their time and budget into the animations for this and everything else that kind of brought the contest to life. Because generally, I think it's fair that the animation style for the show in just general episodes isn't always the strongest, but contests are consistently where they shine with a mix of CG, the choreography that the Pokemon have, and the amount of effects and clashing of Pokemon kind of comes to fruition. So I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. And one thought that I did have in mind, since I think someone was bringing up the gym battles, is what do you think about the contests being kind of tournament based, where you have multiple coordinators come in, versus gym battles, which are just one-on-one between the challenger and the gym leader?
Yeah, I think this format makes more sense for a competition because it's inherently subjective, right? Like how pretty or how impressive your Pokemon's move is, and it doesn't really make a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sense for you to like go through that as a one player solo thing. Whereas for a gym battle, you win or you lose, you can like battle the gym trainers and like beat the gym leader, and you do that by yourself, and there isn't really like a direct comparison. But here it's unless it's like if you had like a coordinator leader who you had to like be prettier than, but then I feel like that'd be a lot of pressure on that person, on like the gym leader slash coordinator leader to like have different moves. So yeah, I feel like this format that they do in the show makes more sense for like the flashy, showy pageantness of the coordinator contest format.
I like what you said about the one-on-one because we did get to see that a little bit with Nacho and
Nando.
how it's
Definitely
Nacho now.
Nacho.
Oh my gosh.
So we did get to see that aspect of a contest, almost a one-on-one, what it would look like, almost like a gym leader battle, and it wasn't that thrilling. It was hard to gauge. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But when you bring multiple people into it and you have a competition of everybody like starting at the same level of, hey, nobody is anything special until they get on the stage and show what they got. I like that aspect.
Yeah, I think they both have their pros and cons to them, where like in a real world setting, it would be a lot harder for someone to get 5 ribbons compared to 8 gym badges. Do you guys agree with that?
True. That was actually kind of related to a thought I had, which is how often are they having
Mm-hmm.
these contests? Like how often does the Jubilife City contest happen? If it's like once a year, then it would be really hard if like it's say a yearly thing to get 5 ribbons. Is that even possible? If you had like say 8 regions, like you'd have to win 5 of those out of like everybody
Yeah.
who's doing it. So that would be like really, really difficult. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I had that same thought going forward. If Don's going to want to compete, are there only like 5 contests? Are there more than 5 contests? But you only have to win 5? Are they going to just wait around this city until the next contest comes up so Don can compete in that and hopefully get the ribbon that time? Like, how does this work going forward?
Yeah, I those are all great questions. And the way that the show is kind of established that is that they actually go from city to city and kind of stop at the city if they know that there's going to be a contest there, and just make sure that it's on the route to the next gym that Ash goes to. So there aren't any repeats, I think, within a year or at least a season of contests. So there won't be a Jubilife contest until the next season, presumably. But given that you have to win 5 and they don't necessarily line up with the amount of cities that they go through to get to the next gym or the next part in the story, there are a ton of contests that happen in made up cities. So at this point, I don't think we've seen any anime original cities, but as you go through, there's going to be a ton purely because of contests.
Okay,
Interesting. I'm
that makes
looking
more
forward to
sense.
seeing that.
Yeah, it will be really funny to be like, why have they never heard of this city? And like, oh, it's a contest. Like it's a contest episode, clearly. But yeah, it is kind of questionable of how reasonable it is to do this, because again, there's like maybe 30 people competing in each contest, and I think there's about maybe 12, I'd say, that are shown in the anime that we see happen. There could be multiple contests happening at the same time, and maybe the rule is that you can't compete in the same contest twice in one season. Like, for example, Dawn can't compete in Jubilife City's contest again for however long the season is going to last in terms of the contest competition, which might be the most reasonable, because otherwise you're going to see a migration of the same group of people go to each of these cities as you go through the region. It's a cool for showing. I'm glad you guys liked contests, because you guys didn't really have a big idea of what they look like in anime before this, but I think it only goes up from here. So hopefully you guys are excited to see what else comes out of these contests.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea what to expect, and it exceeded those no expectations I had.
Nice. Okay, that's perfect.
I was very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, same here. I'm glad you guys are into it. I really think like these are underlooked in terms of parts of the anime, which is why I'm kind of sad that they didn't come back in future seasons, though there's something similar in Kalos with Serena, but they're kind of different, right? I think one of you might have seen that.
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, someone on this show has, and I'm going to find them. But this has been episode 7 of Sights on Sinnoh. My name is Will, and I was joined today by Carina and Brady. Thank you so much for being here and giving your insights on contests.
Thanks.
I have just one more thing to say.
Sure.
While we were talking, I had this horrible image in my head, and it was this realization that towards the end of this season, there's a very good chance that 2 of the top 10 worst Pokemon are going to be in contests with each other, of Purugly and
Jinx?
Diggersby. No, not Jinx. Diggersby.
Yeah.
What's your prediction on that, Carina?
She can't. I don't want to see. I would be okay with Purugly. I could see like Purugly getting away with a contest, but like, what would Diggersby do in a contest? He's so ugly.
Well, Diggersby isn't in Gen 4.
Oh, okay. That makes me feel better then. I mean, it makes me feel dumb, but it also makes me feel better.
Okay.
At least we don't have to worry about that.
I will see where your prediction goes. I'm not going to answer that for you, but I'm somewhat joyfully surprised that that's where your concern is. That we'll see Purugly, at least in the contest. But it does. Purugly, of course, does make an appearance later on, but how and where, it's up for you to find out. So if you want to see that happen, stick around and keep listening to Sights on Sinnoh. And where can people find you two on the internet?
I am Pengumon everywhere on the internet, usually Twitter, Twitch, and Discord. That's Pengu, Pengu, Mon, MON.
And I'm Cymbacoil, CYMBACOIL, on Twitch and Twitter, and I guess Discord too, but I don't know the numbers after my name, so don't worry about that.
I don't think anyone does, really. But yeah, this has been Sights on Sinnoh. Stay tuned for our next episode, which is going to look at well, I don't want to spoil it, so just stick around. The title of those episodes actually kind of spoil it, so don't look at those if you don't want to. But it's going to be an interesting time to shine for 2 party members that have not really had a lot of spotlight so far. So thanks for joining, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.